Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Ashwin. I am a cybersecurity consultant at LOGON. I am very pleased to welcome you to an interactive discussion on predictive cybersecurity with our partner, Mr. Luigi Lenguito, CEO of Bfore.AI. I am sure you agree with me that the enterprise attack surface is expanding. 5G, IoT, Wi-Fi 6, etc. Everything contributes to this. Our enterprise customers had anticipated these risks. We assist our customers in Asia monitor and reduce their attack surface by implementing a few proven methods. CASM, Cyber Asset Attack Surface Management, to give 100% visibility on all IT, IoT, or OT assets in the IT estate, both on-prem as on cloud. Identity and access management, where we authenticate and monitor access to critical assets. And dark web monitoring, where we are looking for any information that is related to your business or intellectual property and alert you real time. And third-party risk management. We look at the entire supply chain of digital assets and reduce the attack surface. And for vulnerability scanning solutions, which allow us to detect any misconfigurations or vulnerabilities in application or infrastructure. Just like most traditional cybersecurity solution providers, what we are offering are solutions that are capable of rapidly detecting issues and then delivering timely response. This is great, but there is a cost involved, as the process requires skilled teams to manage it. Also, there is always a risk of a compromise. The obvious answer is to adopt a strategy of prevention rather than a detection and response. The good news is that we are now able to help our customers achieve this with our Bfore.AI predictive cybersecurity solution. Bfore.AI is a threat intelligence feed that is threat agnostic, offering near zero false positive and easy integrations into existing security infrastructure. To know more, we have invited Mr. Luigi Lenguito, the CEO of Bfore.AI, to this meeting. I will now ask Mr. Luigi to tell us how Bfore.AI's predictive cybersecurity technology helping companies to avoid the future risk. Luigi?
Thank you, Ashwin, and thank you the LOGON team for inviting me to this webinar. I hope over the next 15-20 minutes to give you a sense of the new approach that we are bringing to the cybersecurity space. Very quickly about me, I've been in the industry for about 30 years now. The one thing that I saw very early on, definitely as I was discussing with large customer using other technologies, was that the entire industry is plagued by a victim mentality, right? So we are constantly waiting for the attacks to happen to then do detection and response, right? And it's it's a losing paradigm just by the definition, right? You're always on a kind of a victim standpoint, and that really is not aligned with my own set of values, and I wanted to do something different, right? And maybe some of you may remember this movie a few years ago with Tom Cruise, The Minority Report, in which there were a set of mutants that could see the future of crime, and then a special police department called the pre-crime department that could go stop criminals before they became criminal, and in that obviously saving the victims of those guys. And I was very impressed by the concept of pre-crime and thinking one day somebody will bring pre-crime to cybersecurity. And so fast forward to about 5 years ago, me and my team, with my co-founders, we met a technology that we thought could be pre-crime, and that technology that is results of nearly 10 years of research, which we have multiple patents for. So what we're going to talk about is why that is important and what that can do in the current environment to protect from the growing cyber threats. But first, let me give you a bit of an analogy here, right? So to me, today cybersecurity is a little bit like weather forecast was about 100 years ago. At the time, if you wanted to know the weather for the next days, you would probably have to either watch the sky and follow some of the common rule of thumbs or says, or some people would pray for rain, some other would maybe dance for sun, right? But nobody got it right. There was constant risk to agricultural yield. There were loss of lives because hurricanes couldn't be predicted. What do we have today instead is massive scale weather forecast system, right? With satellites, much technology in different type of sensors, supercomputing power, using all this data that get collected. And nowadays, weather forecast is 99% precise at a couple of days, 95% up to 5 days, and nearly 85% at 2 weeks. Nearly every one of us watch weather forecasts on a daily basis. Agriculture has greatly improved their yield thanks to those, and much less life losses are suffered when there are massive scale weather changes like hurricanes and monsoons and the likes. In a similar fashion, you may have seen this picture. This is from earlier in the year. This is a system in Tel Aviv called the Iron Dome, where artificial intelligence is used to track the trajectories of rockets from Gaza and destroy those rockets before they hit the city, and in doing so, saving lives and saving assets. And on the on the roads, we are seeing more and more autonomous cars, notably the Tesla cars with their technology based on AI, are already able to prevent accidents. They're able to avoid accident 9 times more than humans can do, right? So already this technology is in getting our everyday life improved. So what is common about these 3 scenarios, the weather forecast, the Iron Dome in defense, the Tesla cars, is that prediction is used to enable prevention. So there is a massive focus on anticipation rather than looking at today data or yesterday data to derive decision. We are looking into future, right? We are looking at behaviors of the environment in real time as it changes to predict the future. And we use the latest and greatest results of research from AI, machine learning, predictive analytics, and so on. And I do think that we need to bring this type of innovation, this type of change of paradigm to cybersecurity. We know that nowadays the time to detection is continuously growing. The latest report from IBM tell us that in average, an intrusion is detected 280 days after it started. And that's even before you start to do the remediation. The cost of those intrusion and exfiltration and data losses is mounting. About 2 years ago, there was a prediction or a forecast saying that losses globally would amount to about $10 trillion in 2025. Well, it's in 2022. This year, losses will amount to 10 trillion. So not only the problem is massive, it's also growing at a very fast clip. And unfortunately, in some cases, those losses, those data leakage result in unrecoverable damage to organization. And I was struck a few months ago when I read another stat that said that 15% of the companies that are affected by cyber attacks fail, go bankrupt in the next 12 months. So what we do, we have created, thanks to that technology, we founded at a university a few years ago, a product that we call pre-crime. We are able to predict vector of cyber threat with a minimum of 6 hours before the threat vector become an actual attack, up to months in advance. This gives our customer that ability to be one step ahead, to be ready and not being a victim anymore. We do this with, it wouldn't be good if it wasn't, very precise. So we do it thanks to the continuous learning and improvement of the machine learning. We do this with only 0.05% false positive. This means that on over 10,000 prediction, we only have 5 errors. And so that helps not wasting resources chasing ghosts and false alarms. And we do that with the technology that is what I define threat agnostic. We use network behavioral analysis at an internet scale. And thanks to that, we can predict vector of attacks, even if the technique and the processes that will be used by the attack are new. Are they going after a new vulnerability at day 0? It doesn't matter. We don't use content scanning or specific in-network content analysis. We focus on the network behavior, on the changes of information like DNS, IP addressing, BGP data, ASN data, time to reach, and so on and so forth. And so that helps us have a technology that not only is predictive in nature to the attack, but is also future ready against new type of attacks. So all of this is, I think, quite interesting, but it wouldn't be of any use if it wasn't actually real life, right? So science fiction of Minority Report was a nice movie, but it's more important if we can deliver this in an everyday activity. And so here are a few customers of ours that use this technology. The key here is that in all cases, we have provided a solution to the attack before the attack started. So from hours to weeks to months in advance. And this can be network protection, like we did at Signify, helping them avoiding a ransomware intrusion and exfiltration. It can be email protection by integrating with anti-phishing filters, like what we did at BTAG, avoiding a business email compromise, or it can be large-scale DNS protection, like what we do daily with our partner Code9, helping protect hundreds of millions of people and billions of queries on the internet. And so while I let you read a little bit of what our customer thinks about the solution, I would say that the critical value that we bring is to move from this posture of being a victim, trying to detect and respond to attack, to a posture of being an actor of your defense, being informed about the future attack, being ready to do something about them even before they hit your network or your assets or your brands. And so what we look at in terms of our products is how this technology get used, right? So in the first product is what we call pre-crime network, is a cyber threat intelligence solution. We provide a feed of our prediction. So it's prediction about all the possible threats at an internet scale. This can be consumed in your infrastructure, that being DNS resolver, firewalls, anti-phishing filters, CM and SOAR solution. We can integrate, basically across all of the technical stack that you may have from a cybersecurity perspective, and we do that through an API. So it's a machine-to-machine operational threat intelligence. You don't require, human activity or, analysis or decoding. You can, of course, analyze the outcome of the blocking by looking at logs and so on with CMs. But in the actual operation, you want to have your machines connected to our API to be constantly updated. Then we have Pre-crime for networks is really about protecting the customer, our customer networks, their assets, their IoT devices, their infrastructure, their employees. But nowadays, there is a growing need of extending the protection beyond your perimeter, protecting your customers, protecting your partners, ensuring that your brand does not get misused and abused to attack your constituencies. And so that's where we have created Pre-Crime for Brands, where we apply the same technology to identify the future attacks to your company, to your brand. And so, for example, our customer Volksbank is able to stop phishing attacks before they hit their customers. And when their customer get that WhatsApp message or that email message with a phishing link, and they click on the link, unfortunately, well, the link has been already disabled, has been unreachable, and that makes them, avoid being scammed. And we do this through the third product that you see here on the slides called Preempt. Preempt is a countermeasure system where we do two different things. On one side, we operate a proactive takedown capability. The proactive takedown gives us the ability to go to registrar, mail hosters, hosting providers. And thanks to the information that we have collected and have enabled the prediction, they will, observe the malicious intent and stop these domains, stop these IP addresses to be malicious before they become so. But also, as sometimes, unfortunately, these operators may be in areas of the world that are not very collaborative, or that them themselves may not be structured to be very quick at responding. So we have a network of partners, like you've seen on the previous slide, Code9. We work with VirusTotal, we work with Google Safe Browsing, we work with many other Global Cyber Alliance and other entities to distribute information about these impeding attacks so that they alert their own customers or members or related parties to block this traffic to those destinations. And so maybe the domain that is source of a phishing attack will still be active, but the network will not carry data to that domain. And so we are isolating, if you want, the miscreants' infrastructure from the rest of internet in a defensive way, right? So we're not doing active offense; we're blocking just the communication to the bad guys, and in that we are protecting customers, we are protecting people. And so with that, let me wrap it up. I don't want to go too much into the details. I'm sure your questions will be interesting and bring us some other sides of the story. But I want to leave you with this say from Sun Tzu on how it's important to focus on prevention and not live in this constant fear of detection and response that are still very important, but shouldn't be the end all for the cybersecurity world. And with that, maybe Ashwin, and we can open this to Q&A.
Thank you, Luigi. I hope everyone found this session informative. If you have any questions, please use the chat section. We will answer them right away. Luigi, we already have one question here. What significant trend do you see forming in the cyber criminal space?
Interesting question. So indeed, thanks to the predictive technology and the fact that we observe the entire internet to do this prediction, we do see some trends. I would say that the recent trends we have observed are, first of all, a tendency of criminal to age their threat vectors. So think about domains, for example, right? That they would register domains and not use domain in the very short period. We have seen attack with domains that have been registered maybe 7-8 months earlier, and during that period had been dormant. And so, whoever of, in the audience or beyond is thinking to be protected by putting rules like block every domain created, in the last 15 days, these are very obsolete rule of thumbs nowadays. Criminals would, will use these more, simple but effective ways to gain reputation, that is to age domains. Another interesting evolution that we are seeing is more targeting of Internet of Things and devices. We recently blocked an exfiltration from smart cameras that were, supposedly used. So the smart cameras were at our customer site. The firmware of the smart camera had been compromised, and an exfiltration of the video streams was, was starting towards a malicious destination that was in another country. And we can speculate that probably the criminals were interested to see the inside operation of that customer. It was an healthcare provider, to then identify particular patterns of people or activities. So it's becoming more sophisticated in what they're not necessarily exfiltrating just the data for the sake of the data, like we hear on a daily basis, but also for understanding better how they can do much more damage or find more attack vectors.
Okay, the next question is, how do I follow up with you to find if your predictive solution meet my needs?
Well, Ashwin, I think I'll let you answer that. I mean, obviously, we are in a great partnership with LOGON in the region. And so, your best, your best bet is to reach out to the LOGON team if you are in the Asia Pacific region, and work with their specialists to understand, your needs, and if we can match it. Of course, you can reach out to us directly as well. If you are in other parts of the world, as this webinar is being recorded and maybe will be seen also elsewhere, in which case, we'll definitely put you in touch either with our direct team of specialists or with other partners that are closer to you to support you in understanding the best way forward.
Yes, to answer this question, yes, please contact us directly. Our email and contact details are available in the chat. So, Luigi, please allow me to ask the next question.
Mm-hmm.
How is it possible to predict criminal actions? How does your solution find out?
Definitely. Yeah, I was expecting this question. So, of course, we have a very nice crystal ball that I keep very, very shiny every day. No, so the way it works is, and I use that analogy of the weather forecast at the beginning as intentionally. It is very similar to weather forecast. So we have many sensors and collect much data from internet on a daily basis. This is, by the way, information that is not coming from the customer network. So we do not have any sensor or other tool that has to be installed within your infrastructure. All the data we take are from the outside. And so with this data, then we use this algorithm of machine learning to identify behavior. So what is a behavior? Is, for example, a domain name that is created today, and in 5 days change the name server, and in 10 days an MX, so mail server address, is added, and then 3 days later the distance in ping time from our server change in a certain way. And so, take thousands and millions of those changes that happen every day across the internet. They get all categorized by our machine learning. This is where the power of these algorithms at scale really make a difference. No human being could track all this data in a timely fashion. And so we end up with a universe of behavior, which today we have cataloged around 1 billion. And then we train, so we do what is called a supervised learning process, where we train the system to recognize good behavior from bad behavior. And then the system uses those changes that it has observed and with which it has created behavior to also observe changes of behavior. So is that domain that has been having a very good reputation and stable for the last maybe 6 months, now deviating toward another behavior that is recognized as malicious. And so those changes of behavior is what drive then the prediction. And technically speaking, you may say that we are observing the setup of the criminal infrastructure. And maybe that is the one of our paradigm shift, right? Instead of observing you as a potential victim and hence what's happening to your network and your infrastructure, we are looking out in the wild for the criminals, what they're doing. Think to it a bit like, if we go to the very old analogy of the castle and the walls of the castle, today the attacks, when you do detection and response, you basically have the criminals within your walls and you're trying to identify them and block them. What we are is more like a sentinel, looking far away and trying to stop people and criminals before they cross the bridge, getting close to the walls.
Okay, great. So what kind of cyber attacks can be predicted by Bfore.AI?
Fine. So of course we cannot predict everything. So we not claim that, but for that reason, detection and response is still a relevant capability that you need to invest on. And to earlier point Ashwin made, there are many solutions that are very good and important in that space. What we cannot predict is attacks that are not based on networks. So, for example, an insider threat like rogue employee coming with a USB memory stick on which there is a malware that is going to steal data and put it on the same memory stick, and then the person leaves. So that we cannot predict, right? It's not going on the outside network. Let's say that malware was trying to exfiltrate data toward the outside, most probably we can predict it. So we can, it's easier in that respect to say what we cannot predict from what we can predict. Actually, let me stop the sharing here. And so the so what else we cannot predict are particular bugs, like there could be say injection attacks, for example, that are again not transferring data over network but addressing a particular application. So think to it, if there is any network transfer in or out of your network, then that's something that we most probably will predict. If it is within the network with no external network access, then most probably will not predict it.
Okay. So you have AI in the name, Bfore.AI. Is this true artificial intelligence?
It is a mix of artificial intelligence tooling. So we use, as I mentioned, supervised learning, machine learning, predictive analytics. We do not use some other tools of artificial intelligence like, network, neural language predictions, or I don't know, deep learning. Not to say we will not use in the future, but we have a mix of AI tools that get used indeed in the system.
Okay. So with that, can you tell me more about active defense and how Bfore.AI blocks attack before they start?
Sure. So it's as I said earlier, there are customers of ours that ask to help them protect their constituency. So we had to come up with this solution of active defense. And what we do there is, on one side, the actual objective is taking down and so stopping, disabling the domains, the IP addresses that will be future sources of attacks. So in what we do there is we use the data coming from the prediction system, the indicators, to go to the registrars, to the registry, to the mail hosters, to the hosting provider, or to actually the owner of the domain. Right, it's an interesting talking about trends from the previous question, there's an interesting trend we have seen, unfortunately, where more and more good reputation, legit owners of domains get hijacked. And so their DNS start to point to rogue infrastructures. And this mail phishing email or business email compromise start to come from legit domains that we cannot take down because these are legit businesses, but they're still potentially creating harm. And so what we would do is we would reach out to the owner of that domain, legit domain, and we would work with them, giving them indication to their security team or to their technology provider to help them restore the system in a safe state, again with the objective to protect our customers from the attacks. And in parallel, we do the work with our partners to avoid that any traffic reach that malicious destination, right? So we would, if you go on VirusTotal, you will notice often domains where we are the only one, for example, showing as future malicious or indicating malicious on that domain. And in some cases, that is actually the active defense loop that is put in place to protect our customers.
Okay. So are there any ethical considerations when one attributes maliciousness before proof is present?
Yeah, I get this question quite a lot. So, and this was a bit of, going back to the origin of the story with the Minority Report movie. That was the kind of the one of the storylines of the movie, right? Can you truly say that somebody is future malicious before they actually commit the crime? Thankfully in cybercrime, things are much simpler. You can identify a true indication of future maliciousness. And generally, when you tell that a future malicious is malicious, these guys are not the ones that are going to complain. They try rather to disappear and go on some other indicators to hopefully perpetrate their activities without being noticed. So, the objective is obviously not to mark somebody as malicious if they have good intent, and that's why we have worked so much, and we keep working on our false positive rate, right? And so we still make some mistakes, very, very few, as I mentioned earlier, only 0.05% error rate, and we want to keep reducing that so that we don't label somebody as future malicious if they aren't. That said, when it happens, they generally reach out to us, and we quickly resolve, with a turnaround time of less than 4 hours, this request for correction. But as I said, the number is not very important, so is something that we can treat on a one-by-one case. I think I see another question in the chat. Ashwin, maybe we want to take that as well. So I see a question: who will be the biggest consumer of cybersecurity services in the decade as a group? Listen, I think everyone is a consumer of cybersecurity services. I was speaking with a very large insurance operator, and they told me, I mean, this is like one of the top 5 global players in insurances, and they told me there are the two biggest risks for humanity. Number one, climate change and all that it entails, in terms of disasters. Number two, cybercrime, and all that it entails in terms of losses and maybe not human losses. Albeit apparently there have been cases, but mostly asset losses or business losses and societal impact. So I think everybody has to be concerned about cybersecurity and cybersecurity services. By the way, we are in the month of cybersecurity awareness. It's very important that we spread the knowledge about what it takes to be a little bit safer on the internet and in digital world. Of course, from a technology provider perspective, the largest users will be a commercial organization, mostly because they are targeted by the fact that they have funds that can be stolen, right, or can be ransomware or so on, right? So I think commercial entities will still be the number one target, and the number one in terms of losses if they don't get, in a more preventive and preemptive stance. But ultimately, everybody will be consumer of cybersecurity services.
Okay, so about my next question is about the product. So does pre-crime need special integration to networks and systems?
Okay, so good question. So pre-crime for networks do require an integration. So as I said, it's an API, and so customers have to decide where is to best integrate. Probably the best use case is the one of the threat intelligence platforms like Anomaly or Threat Quotient or Threat Stream or MISP or similar, where the customer connect to our API, digest the indicators in the threat intelligence platform, and then disseminate in the rest of the network to firewalls, to CMSOAR, to mail filters, DNS resolvers, and so on. But each one of those systems can be configured to digest the data straight from the API. So the API can provide data in a variety of formats. Natively, for example, Anomaly, you will find Bfore.AI in their marketplace through simple CSV text file that can be used by some brands of firewall as a sticks JSON that can be used by MISP, Tines, and other similar platforms. It can be response policy zones for DNS resolvers. It can be other JSON types for other type of uses. So it's what we want is to make it very easy to do this integration. And so we have a catalog of integration already built. We're continue building and working with other technology partners to become native to their marketplaces so that you can, with one click, activate it. Let's say generally takes less than 1 hour to configure this integration. If your system can digest a block list, then it will be able to connect to our API. And basically every system has that capability. So.
Okay, perfect. So this seems too good to be true. So where is the catch?
Where is the catch? Well, the catch, first of all, it is, I would say, we're very proud of what we have built, and we'll keep improving it. It's our mantra to get this to be more and more present and spread the use of predictive security. I think the catch is we are not perfect, and so we cannot cover everything. We cannot predict everything. So it's not a silver bullet in that respect for cybersecurity. But we love to think that if we can help you block more outside of the network, then other solution can be more effective within the networks. And so you can have less, for example, false alert from your EDR, because the EDR has to work less. Maybe your SOC has to be less stretched in resources because you have less alerts to handle. So the objective here is to keep the criminal as much as possible outside of your environment or away from your customers, so that for the few things that we cannot predict, you are in full control and able to manage that. So basically, focusing prediction and preemption to improve the capability of the detection and response teams and solutions as well.
Great. So that's all from my part. So let's see if our audience have any questions.
I don't see any in the chat, I think.
Okay, then thank you everyone for joining us today. And thank you, Luigi. So we are available to show you what before AI can do for you. So please contact us via email and we would love to hear from you. And yeah, thank you for your presentation, Luigi, and for answering all the questions.
Thank you, Ashwin. Thank you to all the audience, but today on the live stream and the ones that will be watching it remotely, we are able and very interested to hear your feedback or question. Let's continue the conversation. Feel free to follow me on my LinkedIn profile. I keep sharing, or our company, we keep sharing a number of insights coming from the prediction, and hopefully we can help some of you become more proactive and more preemptive in your cybersecurity posture. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Luigi. So we shall close this meeting now. Have a great weekend, everyone.